right, ladies and gents, it's your boy Rocco Yaps, and I Yap Cinema. Today's topic is going to be about Zootopia 2, the sequel to Zootopia. Now, if you haven't seen this, I highly recommend to go watch it. It is a fun watch. It is an entertaining watch. And if you even if you don't like it in the same way that other people may like it or like how I view it, uh I feel like it just won't be a bad watch. Like, I feel like you won't be like, I wasted my time. I wasted my money watching this movie. I think it's a good watch. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it because I'm not going to hold back on any regard of what happened in the movie and what, you know, in my breakdown of whether it was good or not. So, spoiler warning ahead. Now, let's start off with Zootopia 1. This is a movie that came out in March 4th, 2016. So, yeah, it's 10 years almost since the last time we saw these two on the screen. This is an animation, comedy, buddy cop, mystery, adventure genre of a movie with a budget of $150 million, which did end up making a little bit over $1 billion. This was directed by Rich Moore and Brian Howard, and it was starring Jennifer Goodwin, Jason Bateman, Idris Elba, Jenny Slate, and even fucking Shakira. Now, the plot of the first movie, if you don't remember, you haven't seen it in a while or whatever, plot of the first movie is that Judy Hopps is a little bunny. She's trying to be a cop. She's a rookie cop, trying to make a name for herself, and then, this quick, sarcastic, sly fox named Nick join forces together to uncover a conspiracy where not only are predators going missing, like predator animals are going missing, but the ones that do turn up are wild. They're like ravaged. They're like basically animals, unlike the rest of them, which are like more humanoid animals. They're more crazy, predatory, and all that. And it's in this metropolis city called Zootopia. That's why the movie's called Zootopia. Now, the first movie it's really good. It has that comedic humor that it serves well for the kids and it also serves well for an adult. Like, it's not like a oh, you'll get it when you're older type of joke. I like the balance when a movie can make a joke that makes little kids laugh and adults laugh without having to necessarily be a dirty joke or a sexual joke in order for the adults to be able to laugh at it. Um, Also, the story is pretty unique in the sense that you have humanoid animals who then are having a problem with animals reverting to their natural instincts and like primal instincts, and then you have the whole thing of like uh, a predator hanging out with like a not a prey type of animal. You know how like he's a fox and foxes hunt bunnies, and but they're cool together and they're just hanging out. But also the mystery and the twist of it being like this lamb, this little mayor girl that at least when I saw it, I never really would have guessed it was her who was behind all this. But it was a good twist and it was a good story in the end of the day. And then them trying to work together and trying to surpass that barrier of being not only two different species, but being two different polar ends. Like, he's a predator and she's a prey, and then also in the sense that she grew up with a big large family, he grew up by himself. So that's what I kind of like about the first movie. And then also like Nick's character, I really like his character in the sense of how he handled, like, how he makes a joke out of it of like, oh, this is how I handle trauma, where he's like very sarcastic, very quick. The jokes that he makes are pretty funny. But moving on to Zootopia 2, now this is the same thing in genre, same budget of 150 million, and as of right now, it's only been a little bit over a month. since it came out. It came out in November 26th of 2025. My bad for putting 2026 right there. But it's already made $1 billion. So, you know, they've more than got their money back, and they've captured the same success of the first movie. And it's only been like a month. So, it was directed again by Brian Howard, but this time with Jared Bush. And it's starring the same Jennifer Goodwin, Jason Bateman, Idris Elba, Jenny Slate, and Shakira. Uh, Shakira's character plays a little bit more of a like not an important role, I would say, but like she's in this fucking movie a little bit longer than she was in the last one. Um, she's she has like three, I believe, like three scenes as opposed to in the first one, if I remember right. She just has that one singing scene at the end of the movie, and that's it. But the plot of this movie is that it was a funny. I thought it was pretty cool because in the first movie, it was a funny thing that people noticed, and it was talked about when the first movie came out. Was where are the reptiles? Where are the reptilian animals at? Because there was a shit ton of animals like mammals, rodents, uh, big and small. There was every type of animal you could think about, but there was like, where are the reptiles at? Like there wasn't a lizard, there wasn't a snake, there wasn't an iguana, there wasn't a crocodile. So it was like, where are the reptiles at? Especially in this city of Zootopia, which is supposed to be like a culmination of uh, all these different types of animals, whether they were predators or prey, whether they were hunters and stuff like that. It's supposed to be a big culmination of animals being able to live together in one society. And it's like, but where are the reptiles? So I love that they were like, that's a good idea for a plot. And they explain via the plot of this movie why there's no reptiles. So I thought that was a pretty interesting thing that they did. Like, hey, like people did seem to question a lot why there wasn't. So let's just do a plot about it. But the plot of the movie for Zootopia 2 is that Judy and Nick at the end of the first one started his like academy training to become a police officer. He passes it and uh he becomes like Judy's partner in a way, but they're like fresh, like barely a week together. Um, and it's like supposedly this big deal because they're the first predator and prey partner. There's never been a predator and a prey together as partners in the force, so they became the very first partner to do that. They have to tackle this new conspiracy where they have to enter underground areas or new areas around Zootopia that we never seen before to uncover the mystery of the reptile. And this whole mystery and this whole thing does end up testing their partnership and whether or not they're good for each other and stuff like that. But the plot does have a lot of similarities to the first movie. I will say it feels like they made Zootopia 1, but they're like, okay, let's change stuff up, let's tweak stuff, and then they just made Zootopia 1. But the I will say there's a little bit more humor. At least in my opinion, there was a little bit more humor in it. And I did enjoy it. I'm not saying like it was too much. Like, for example, there's this fucking part in the movie where I didn't expect at all, and it just had me genuinely having to contain my laughter in the movie theater because it just caught me so off guard. Like I said, spoilers by the way. Um, so there's a scene where we first see the snake. We see Garrett, the snake that you have on screen right here, the blue one, and he's painted as this bad guy. You know, he's in the shadows. We don't really get to see him. We just see like leftover snake skin. And then they go to this gala hosted by this super rich family of Sphinx, like the cats, the big ass cats. And Judy is like, oh, he's gonna try to steal this book. Now, the book is about how, because like in Zootopia, in order for everybody to live together, they created these walls so that there's walls that create different climates for the different type of animals. So there's sectors where it's snowing all the time. There's sectors where it's like a desert all the time. There's sectors where it's like sunny, tropical all the time. There's sectors where it's always raining. So the Sphinx are credited as their great grandfather being the creator of the wall. So that's why they're like fucking gajillionaires and well respected and well into everything big and major in the city because their grandfather was the one to create this. So, um, they still have the book in which lays out all the notes and everything and how it was created. So it's a very respectable like artifact for the city. And the Snake Garrett is trying to steal this fucking thing. And he's like in a cloaked figure. He has like a hood and he's slithering in this like chandelier. Nobody's gonna see. He's about to drop down. Judy and Nick are there because they're trying to find out who's trying to steal it. And Judy ruins it for him, but he still ends up jumping down. His cloak falls off and it's the blue snake, and he takes the Sphinx and the book and he's slithering away. Judy's after him, but Nick can't get to it because like chandelier falls down and blocks the doorway, and they end up in this room in the second floor or like third floor, and he's kind of cornered, and Judy kind of has him there, and she's like yo freeze, and he's like no 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 wait, and instead of being like an evil snake like how I was thinking was gonna happen, like oh maybe the snakes were like the reptiles weren't people to be trusted, like they were villainous, and the snake is gonna be like an evil guy. He just turns around and he doesn't have the voice that you think he does, and he's like, no, 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 like chill, like this is all a big misunderstanding. Like my people are innocent, like we were framed. I'm just trying to prove the innocence of my family, so we could be able to come back to Zootopia. It's been 100 years. Like he's bringing all this heartbreaking story about how they are innocent. He's only doing this for the good of his family to uncover the truth, so that they could be able to come back. And it's been a little bit over 100 years since they were casted away from Zootopia, and all they want to do is come back. And he has like these sad eyes, and you like it genuinely feels like he's not lying. And Judy even feels the same way. Judy's like, oh man, like what do I do now? Because like he is trying to steal this book, and he was in their mind like a villain, but then now he's seemingly a very trusted guy, and he has this sob story. And he's just talking, and then out of nowhere he gets fucking rammed in the back of the head by a big ass frying pan that knocks him out straight out of nowhere. I didn't see this coming at all. That's why I think that's what aided in me not being able to control my laughter was was just that. It was randomness of just being cut off mid sentence by a frying pan to the back of the head and getting knocked out by Nick. Nick just shows up out of nowhere, and he's so confident because he didn't hear anything that this snake said, and he's just like, "Well, well, case closed." Like he's just super calm about it. He didn't know what he just did, but yeah, that was a very good, funny moment for me that I was just like not expecting, and it did genuinely catch me off guard. Um, but what I mean by it being very similar to the first one is the twist of, oh, I'm actually a bad guy, not a good guy. And it wasn't by Garrett. It wasn't by the snake. He didn't snake out fucking Judy and Nick. But like I said, the Sphinx are credited to have been the creators of this wall, and that's why they're fucking millionaires and very into the everything powerful and big in the city. But it was all a lie. Um, the great grandfather Sphinx, I suppose, who created it, stole it from Garrett's not great great, but his great grandmother. He stole it from her, and not only that, he framed her for killing a tortoise, which was the maid for the lynx, because she saw what he was planning on doing, so she went to go warn her and take her the authenticity, like it's like a paper that it's like giving basically credit to the snake of her being the creator, her being the one to come up with this idea, and that he even signed it. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be the investor to your wall, but he rips it off, throws it away, and then makes a new one saying that he is. So the tortoise recovers the one that he tore off, which is the original copy, and planned on giving it back to the snake to be like, hey, and warn her. So he was like, I'll kill two birds with one stone, fuck. I'll kill the tortoise. She won't tell what she knows. She won't be able to help out. And I'll frame it on the snake. Now, when he does that, all reptiles are viewed as like villainous. They can't be trusted. It's all over the newspapers, and they end up getting like kicked out, and their whole neighborhood becomes like just a big part of land. Uh, but that's the thing. The Sphinx are behind it, and they want to basically keep the family secret a secret. So they even have the mayor behind their payroll, and they're calling all the shots with the police to capture both Nick and Judy. But there is one other son who's viewed as like he doesn't fit in. The other ones are like evil. He's super nice, whatever. And Judy even has a good time, like talking to him. Like they relate a lot. And he turns out to be the mysterious cloaked figure that's helping Garrett this whole time. That he had Garrett been transported from wherever he came from. He's helping him out. He's trying to uncover his family's secret to the world and help Garrett and the reptiles. And the big twist is that, oh no, I'm not a good guy. I'm a bad guy. I just wanted to get close to you guys so I could find the original transcript, burn it, and then save my family, and my family will then finally accept me for one of them. That's the big twist in the back at the end of the movie. I will say it's a little weaker in my opinion than the first movie, where you didn't expect at all the the little lamb mayor to be the villain at the end of the story. But um, yeah, it's not a bad twist. It's just that in my opinion, it was a little weaker, and it was kind of a little bit more easier to spot in my opinion. And yeah, it's just kind of similar to the first one. Like I said, it's very similar to the first one, where it's just you know, yeah, you think the snake is the villain, but I feel like they did that moment very well. The first time Garrett ever talks and he's like revealing his sob story, I think that food did that scene very well. To where like at least me, I didn't view him as like potential plot twist at the end. But I understand, like, yeah, at the same time, it's like, well, if there's someone who's gonna be a twist, it was probably Garrett, and they're probably leaning on that. People being like, oh no, the reptile is the plot twist villain at the end, and it ends up being the Sphinx. But I don't know. I just saw it as predictable and a little repetitive. That's kind of like the only bad thing, in my opinion, about the movie. Uh, but overall, it was just good. It was just cool. It was cool to see new environments and not just the same environments from the first movie. They go to a city where the reptiles are like hanging out, and there's like swampy place, and they're just chilling on their own. It was very cool to see that. There's also there's also like this new character. She's like a beaver. I guess some people may find her a little bit too much, like to the story and for comedic purposes. I think she was right on that line where she's on the line. Like she isn't crossing it, but she's not underneath the line. She's right on it of being too much. She's right on the line where like a little bit more, she would have been too much. But I think she wasn't. Um, but yeah, it's just an overall movie. It's an overall entertaining movie. It's a very fun movie. I did enjoy myself watching it. Like I said, I feel like this is one of those movies that even if you didn't think it was a good movie or you don't think anything, like I don't think you will be like, I regret watching it. That's my opinion. I don't think you'll regret watching it. Um, Anybody from all ages could watch it. It's very entertaining. Now the first one, I give it an 8.7 out of 10, and this one I give it an 8.3 out of 10. So they're very similar. They're very in the line of being the same. But like I said, I give it an 8.3 because I just feel like it was a little bit less um like impactful and surprising, the twist at the end, than in the first movie. And then also like I feel like it was a little repetitive that we're having the same partner problems as we did in the first one. Like in the first one, we get it, the stigma of Nick being a predator and being violent and being not trusted around prey and stuff like that. Like basically, Nick faces racism in Zootopia and how that affected him and Judy. It was a pretty decent point of the plot in the first movie. And in this one, it's like kind of revisited, but it's like not that they can't be trusted together and they can't be friends and they can't be homies, but it's like okay, they're good as that, but we're gonna still use the same plot of them being predator and prey to establish the drama of like, well, maybe as partners, as cop partners, they're not good together. They don't fit. They don't qualify. He's like this. She's like that. I just thought it was a little, uh, just like, repetitive and a little bit unnecessary in the sense, like I said, like if you wanted drama between them, it could have been something else and not the same thing of like predator and prey. So yeah, that's why I give it a little bit less. That's why it's an 8.3 as opposed to the first movie, which is an 8.7 in my book. But going on for Zootopia 3, now this is not confirmed at all. I'm just saying that in the potential future, these are good movies that people enjoy watching. It Both of them made over $1 billion, you know, with a $150 million budget. So it's like these are very successful movies that people enjoy. Those two combinations are always gonna make Hollywood and anybody fucking cream their pants and want to make more. You know what I mean? So these fools are not, without a shadow of a doubt, gonna want to make a third one. So my keynotes is just to keep the same tone and energy of the first two movies, in the sense of like that bright light, liveliness, the animals, Judy and Hop's relationship, integrating little moments of just seeing the nature of the city, and then the same humor level. Like I said, I enjoy the humor in this. I think it's a humor that isn't leaning on just the kids, and it isn't leaning on having to make a dirty sexual or mature joke in order for the adults to laugh. Like it's not one of those movies where it's like if the adults are laughing is one of those things where it's like you'll understand when you get older. You know what I mean? Like it's not like necessarily like that. It could be, but most of the jokes are just funny on their own. Like for example, that one scene, like I said, a kid will find it humorous that funny snake got hit by a frying pan. I as an adult laughed because of the context of the stuff. It's the same scene and it's basically the same thing that made the little kid laugh. But it's like for me it's the context of like you really believe this guy's sob story. It's very sad. Um, being casted away for over 100 years. Your family is being framed as these villains. All you want to do is prove your innocence. and then boom, you just get fucking knocked out by this fox, and he didn't hear words, so he's just like, "Oh, case closed, man." So that is something funny for me. But another thing is same directors, you know, kind of keep it in the same. They're two for two. One of them did change, but as long as they got one of the guys, hey, they're two for two in my book. So keeping them along will be good. Another keynote: don't have the plot point of them not being good partners or not being good together in general. Like, if you're gonna have the drama of them being together, I think it would be so much cooler if it was like the conspiracy had one of them being framed so good that the other person was questioning whether or not they believe the other. Like, if Judy was being framed so good that Nick was like, even though I know her and she wouldn't do this, but the evidence is so good that I just can't ignore it. Like, I can't trust this girl. Same thing with Judy. Like, they could make a conspiracy where Nick can be trusted. And it's like they're framing him to the point, they're framing him so good that even though Judy being, two movies in with this fool, she's like, I know he's not that person and he wouldn't do that, but the evidence is so convincing that I just can't ignore it. Something like that. I don't want the same bullshit of like, oh, they're predator and prey, so shit's not gonna work out between them. You already did that in the first movie. You did it again in the second movie. Don't beat up the dead horse even more. Another keynote could have the snake join them. I thought he was pretty cool, especially since him at the end of the movie, him and his family, as well as other reptiles, moved back to that old neighborhood that they were in, and Judy and Nick are hanging out with his family in their house and stuff like that. So he could be part of the crew. I don't know if necessarily he would become a police officer as well, but somebody that they need to rely on for help in order to help the next mystery, something like that. And then my last keynote is to maybe expand the world. Maybe the conspiracy takes them to other cities or other places around the world. This movie did kind of do that in expanding the world, in the sense of like, not only did we see new stuff locally, like outside the skirts of the city of Zootopia, but in the sense of like, where Garrett comes from across the ocean, from a different piece of land across the ocean, and got legally smuggled in to Zootopia by the Sphinx, who was doing it on purpose just so he could become friends with Garrett and burn the book. But that little piece of like, oh, this is not just one continent and this is the biggest city in it. There's other continents in that are separated by oceans. You know what I mean? Like in the real world. So it's like they did a little bit of world expanding there, and I feel like they could do a little bit more in terms of like maybe going to those places, going to those continents, and uncovering the truth from those continents or other cities. At least explore other cities, even though you're not going across the oceans and stuff like that. So that's what I think they should do a little bit more. They should probably expand a little bit more, see how other cities work, see why Zootopia is like considered the best one, or why it's considered a metropolis. What are the difference between Zootopia and other cities, whether they go overseas or not. I would like to see something like that. But anyway, gents, thank you very much for clicking on this video, and thank you very much for taking time out of your day to watch. If you're new or you haven't yet, please subscribe. It does help out. And if you like my videos, watch my older videos and stay tuned for new videos I will consistently be uploading. As of this video, I will be working on the slides and getting ready for Stranger Things, the finale, the final episode. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming out on Thursday. So, but yeah, I've yapped long enough. Thank you very much. Have a good day and God bless.